everybody. Welcome to the Shift Show. All right, today I'm going to work off some notes. And thanks for putting up with me while I figure out the best way to record these and what information we pushing out and everything else like that. I finally got an outline of a bunch of different shows. I'll give more detail about that coming out here soon. But today I'm just going to jump on into today's topic, which is emergency preparedness. I'm going to read off some notes here. Let's see. So the big thing that we're going to be talking about with emergency preparedness is what do we do during a personal crisis or these different types of crises that might arise. And there's kind of a logical flow that we go through. I've attached these notes, a link to these notes in the notes below. Make sure to like and subscribe. I think that's what we say all the time. And so you'll be able to download my notes from this as well as the worksheet that I put together in here. And so the first thing that we want to deal with when we're looking at emergency preparedness is going to be assessing the risk. So we have to think about what the different risks are in the area, what could be causing them, hurricanes, floods, that kind of fun stuff. But then there's also a multitude of different types of risks that could be coming up. We could have social unrest, we could have financial collapse, we could have war, we could have a pandemic. Who knows where that would come from? And so after we get done assessing the risks, here again, I got a worksheet that you guys can build into that some. And then we're going to look at building out a kit. And so it's the emergency kit that you're going to have some basic supplies like food, water, first aid items, all that kind of stuff that we like to make sure that we have handy and ready. Here again, remember when we're dealing with shift and also prepping, it's not about the preps that we have, but it's the preps that we did in our skill set. So skill set is what we really need to be working on, the big thing. So we'll look at some about building out those kits as well. The next thing is making a plan. And, this really kind of came home for me the other day. I was at lunch with a buddy of mine, and we were talking about like, hey, look, if there's a high-level EMP, what do we do? And I walked through with him on what would be my actual steps that I'd be taking to handle that type of event and how would I deal with it. Of course, I explained how I would first verify that that's the event that happened. Then I'd go to my vehicle because my vehicle would no longer work. And I would get the supplies that I need to go, recover my daughter from school. And so I have to walk to school. I have to know where her school is from where I'm at. I have to be able to pack so much gear. I got to be ready to fight if I have to fight on the way. I have to be able to keep warm, live in Alaska, that kind of fun stuff. And so we need to run through these different plans. And here again, by building out a guide and stuff like that, that's where we're going to be able to see what's going on and what those plans look like, and then share those plans with our loved ones. Like my daughter and I have an agreement that if anything goes south, she stays at school. And why is because that's where I'm going to come show up and get her from. And then we have a fallback point to the house that we end up next, and that's where I meet my wife. And then from there, we have a secondary where we go to meet another couple of family friends. And from there, we get headed to our bug out location. And so these are going to look different depending on what level of emergency it is. And so there's these different plans. And so this is where you actually have to literally sit down with people, communicate these out, and it's a good way to start off is starting by writing these out. One of these days you guys are going to meet Bruce, and so Bruce and I have been working on a guide, and we'll be getting that out to you guys as well, over different training requirements and things that you guys can do to help get your family prepared and those that you love as well as yourself, so that we can handle more of these types of situations so we are more prepared when these different things come at us. Next big step here is going to be staying informed. We have to find different ways of finding the information that we're going to believe in, number one, because information is such a shift show these days, and understanding where that information is coming from, what's the motivation of the information that we're hearing. Some things, though, are pretty black and white, and so some of the information that we can look at is data, and that's the kind of information that I like. Being able and understanding that there's emergency radios and emergency radio frequencies that we can pick up on. Most of us don't listen to like AM, FM anymore, I don't think. And so that's another thing that I'll move into later when I get into communications and radio topics in a future video coming up. The last one is take action. Get out there. Make sure you're taking some first aid classes, some CPR classes, learning how to use a fire extinguisher. We did that this past summer, set some fires on the ground out at the lake house, and everybody had a lot of fun with it as well as getting some good hands-on. We got to make sure that we're on top of that. Now, I do not recommend causing wounds to the children so that you can practice first aid. I just think that's a no-go, probably not acceptable in most places. So let's move in real quick so I can kind of wrap this up for you guys. I like to keep them short. The comprehensive emergency kit build out, bada bing, bada boom. Look for the link below. And this will give you a lot of the items that we're going to expect to see in that kind of kit. Here, I'll just run through a couple real quick. A gallon of water, non-perishable food, can opener, first aid, medications, personal hygiene, toothbrushes, toothpaste, hand sanitizer, soap, etc., blankets, sleeping bags, change of clothes, sturdy shoes, emergency whistle, a dusk mask, or different types of masks. That one can get kind of deep. And it just keeps on going. Multi-tool, AM/FM radio, cell phone charger, cash, fire extinguishers, matches, rope, paracord, poncho, jacket, So there's a bunch of that kind of stuff. And if we're going to be preparing this in cold weather, we have an addition onto that. So that's going to include the cold weather clothing, emergency blankets, hand warmers or foot warmers, waterproof insulated boots, and ice scrapers, rock salt, extra fuel, that's a big one, snow melt, that's also a good one, lip balm, insulated water bottles. So there's a lot of different stuff on that list, which I think you guys are going to get a kick out of and find useful. And then lastly, here again is the attached emergency preparedness worksheet. And then that just kind of goes through, identify your potential emergencies, your risk assessment, develop your communication plan, build an emergency kit, learn emergency procedures, planning for your pets. What are we going to do there? Practicing your plan. That's always a good one. And one thing to think about too is you can't just be seasonal about that. No, we're going to practice plan, but only in the summer. What's it like in the winter? Like our bug out location, if we had to do it on foot, I've calculated it'd be about 15 days. Now, that's in the summer. We did that in the winter, it'd be quite a bit longer. And then lastly, stay informed and how are you going to stay informed. And then the thing with this though is now that you have that plan, you can easily share it with others because they can look at it, read it, that kind of fun stuff. Some notes that I have on this are some notes on the different disaster types, and I hope this will be helpful with doing these plans out. Maybe do multiple worksheets, like one per. Natural disaster, financial collapse, civil unrest, and war. And so with each of those, I have some sub-pointed items there that will point you in a good direction to get it all figured out. All right, guys. Well, this has been the Shift Show. I hope you're enjoying this, and thanks for working with me as I go through and figure out the best way to record things and my content and all that kind of fun stuff. In the next episode, I think I'm going to break down what it's looking like from a shift standpoint coming possibly in our direction. Here again, always keep on doing what you're doing. Don't change your life. Add on to your life. Learn new skills. But it's quite possible that we have famine coming our direction. It's quite possible we have financial collapse coming our direction. It's quite possible that we might have war coming our direction. Hard to say there. And then there's always the fun solar micronova. But I'll dig deeper into each of those topics, where I get my information from, and why I think that there is some validity to the information. I do believe with every story you hear, there's at least some faction of truth in that story. And I think that's just a good way to understand things. Okay, everybody, have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for joining me here. Remember, like, subscribe, and I hope you're getting a kick out of this. Leave me comments below so I can get some feedback on what you do like and what you don't like, and we'll just keep on making things better. All right, train hard, be safe.